It was 3:07 a.m. when the sound of boots echoed across the front porch. The night was quiet, too quiet, until the door splintered open with a crash that shook the house. "Police! Don't move!" a voice barked from the dark hallway. Flashlights sliced through the living room, landing on family photos, a wife, a little girl, and a man in uniform. Upstairs, Darius Cole opened his eyes instantly. He didn't panic. He didn't even breathe loudly. Years of combat training had made him silent under pressure. His hand slipped beneath the bed, not for his phone, but for the Glock he always kept locked and loaded. Downstairs, the intruders spread out. Suspects armed, approach with caution. One said, though they hadn't seen a weapon, only shadows. But Darius had already moved. In one smooth motion, he rolled off the bed, crouched low, and made his way down the stairs, step by step, silent as smoke. Then came the sound that made his blood boil, his daughter's frightened cry. He froze halfway down. A red laser flickered across the hallway wall. That was it. No more warnings. "Get away from my family," Darius said, his voice deep and cold. The nearest officer turned, too slow. 2 shots cracked through the air, hitting the wall beside him and sending plaster flying. "Drop your weapons," Darius roared. The men froze. Something about his stance, his precision, his tone, this wasn't some homeowner. This was someone who'd seen war. The lead cop shouted back, "Who the hell are you?" Darius stepped into the light, gun steady, eyes like steel. "U.S. Navy SEAL. You just broke into the wrong house." The silence that followed was louder than the gunfire. The office's flashlights trembled slightly, bouncing against the walls. The air was thick, nobody moved. The lead cop, Sergeant Willis, tried to sound confident. "Put the weapon down. We got a report of an armed suspect at this address." Darius narrowed his eyes. "At 3 in the morning. Without a warrant. You kicked my door in while my daughter was sleeping." He took a slow step forward, gun still aimed steady. The red dots from their rifles danced across his chest, but not one of them dared to fire. They could feel it, this man wasn't afraid of them. Willis hesitated, scanning Darius's uniform on the coat rack by the stairs, the Navy insignia, the medals, the folded American flag. One of the younger officers whispered, "Sarge, that's Commander Cole. I've seen him in the news. He runs the SEAL veteran program." The room shifted instantly. The bravado vanished. "You broke into the home of a decorated Navy SEAL," Darius said quietly. "And you pointed guns at his child." No one spoke. Even the radios seemed to go silent. Then Darius lowered his gun just slightly and pointed to the front door. "You've got 10 seconds to get off my property before I call the base commander. And trust me, you don't want that call." The men started backing up, muttering excuses. Willis tried to save face. We had the wrong intel." Darius stepped closer, eyes hard. "No, Sergeant, you had the wrong attitude." He held the stare until the last officer was out the door. The flashing lights faded down the street, leaving only the sound of his daughter's soft sobs upstairs. He holstered his weapon, exhaled slowly, and whispered, "They came for the wrong house tonight." By sunrise, the story had already started spreading. A few neighbors had caught everything on their doorbell cameras, the shouting, the flashing lights, and the moment Darius Cole stepped out in his navy blue shirt with SEAL printed across the chest. Within hours, the footage hit social media. The headline read, "Cops raid Black Navy SEAL's home by mistake, he defended his family." The police department scrambled for control. At the press conference, the chief stuttered through excuses. A clerical error. Miscommunication between units. But reporters weren't buying it. Meanwhile, Darius sat at his kitchen table, coffee untouched. His daughter drawing beside him. He watched the coverage with the calm of a man who'd seen worse. But the hurt was there, deep behind his eyes. Then his phone buzzed. It was a familiar voice from the Pentagon. "Commander Cole, we saw the footage. Are you okay?" "Fine," Darius said flatly. "But those men kicked in my door and aimed rifles at a sleeping child." There was a pause. "We're sending a team. This won't be swept under the rug."